You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast. With Brian, Craig, and Jeff give you all the sports news you need.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the Outspoken Network. This is the Sportscast edition. We got questions and answers for you today. Hosts Brian and Craig on the line. Craig, brother man, how you been?
Busy.
Busy. All right, guys. Well, today we're obviously going to talk about the Super Bowl game because you cannot not talk about it. What a great game that was. And then we came up with some questions for each NFL team. And before the season started, we're gonna answer those questions and ask ourselves, did they have a successful season? All on the other side of this, guys. All right, guys, welcome in episode 187, questions and answers. Let's get into the Super Bowl here real quick. Well, it was an entertaining game. That's exactly what we wanted. I don't know if you could ask for a better game than this. And on the other side of it, this is the first year in a long time we watched the commercials, and I thought there's some pretty dadgum good commercials this year. like a lot of other times, you're kind of most of the years you're let down by them. I don't care about the halftime show. I didn't even watch that, but if you're a Rihanna fan, you probably liked it. But this was an interesting game. Eagles up by 10.5. I picked them to win. You picked Kansas City to win, and Kansas City pulled it off in the second half. They scored 17 in the fourth. I was really disappointed in the Eagles' defense. They let them down. They couldn't come up with a stop when they needed to. They didn't get to Patrick Mahomes at all game. Hurts outplayed Patrick Mahomes. Outplayed him. Patrick only threw for 182 yards. Hurts had 304. He rushed for 70. He was their leading rusher, which is kind of a problem when the quarterback's leading rusher. That no one else did really much as far as rushing the football. But Kansas City does enough to get the job done, and kudos to them. And Andy Reid getting the job done. They win 38-35.
I think you had a couple turning points. The Tony return punt, where he drops it, and he almost, by dropping it and messing with it, it set him up. It gave the chance for the wall to set up and go that way, and that was a huge play. The other huge play is where Jalen just drops the football and
no one untouched and kicked it.
And it just so happens to end over end and pop straight up in the air where that guy can catch it in midair on the run in stride. So you had a couple deal, but Philadelphia overall played well, a lot better than I expected. Kansas City has the one gaff where the cornerback gets all turned around and falls down on the deep pass to AJ Brown. But when you're down 10 points and your quarterback gets what appears to be more injured than he was in the previous game, I honestly thought at that point in time that Chad Henne was going to finish this game. You never even thought with a 30-minute halftime that Mahomes was going to be able to sit there and stiffen up and be able to come back out and even perform, let alone perform what he did. The guy's just next level. I mean, that's just all there is to it.
It's just Mahomes and then everybody else.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%. You try to put Josh Allen up there. You try to put the kid from San Diego up there. They're just not. The bottom line is this guy's not human. That ankle sprain sidelines most people for a month, and he re-injures it every game he plays. And Sunday looked like it was re-injured a lot. And so
he was hobbling coming off that tackle.
Well, not only hobbling, but when he went to the sideline and they went to mess with it, and he was just writhing in pain. That's something you didn't see in the original injury. In the original injury, he was trying to tell them, "I'm going to play. I'm going to play. I'm going to play." He didn't say that Sunday. He was just like, and I think honestly, it could not happen at a better time. He didn't have to go back out there before the half. They were able to get him off. They were able to get him in the locker room and able to take care of it. Extended halftime show. And they were able to work on it and whatever they did.
And what do we think about the pass, the holding call on that last Juju Smith? I think.
I mean, by the book, that 100% is a deal. But you had one that Philadelphia grabbed him earlier in the game and spun him around. They didn't call it. And Kansas City had one where they grabbed the guy and it wasn't called. In that situation, with a championship on the line, you would like to see that call doesn't get made. Yeah. And it still, Kansas City could still kick a field goal, but it gives Jalen Hurts a minute and 55 seconds. By calling that penalty, it allowed Kansas City to run the clock out, and Jalen Hurts had 7 seconds, which we all knew that wasn't going to happen.
It feels like we didn't get to see the ending.
Yes.
We watched this beautiful movie, this beautiful script, not that the NFL scripted. And at the very end, we just got
you didn't give Jalen his chance. Just like the heavyweight fight between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes the year before.
And a coin flip.
Josh Allen didn't get his due. Well, Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl, who had led that team down the field, he didn't get a chance with a minute and 55 seconds. Even if they don't have any timeouts, you'd like to think that it would have been deal.
And I think at that point of the game, it needs to. I'm fine with the penalty call, but it needs to be just an outrageous hold or an outrageous penalty. Obviously, an obvious call. And to me, that there was just not that obvious to say, hey, let's throw it here. I'm not saying that cost. I'm not going to sit here and say that cost the Eagles the game. No. Eagles had their opportunities. They didn't in the second half. They just didn't do it. And Kansas City did. And Kat's here. Kat says, "Go Chiefs." Yes, Kat. Me and Craig are eating crow. We're talking about Patrick Mahomes maybe missing the wide receivers, but he's done a hell of a job.
I'm not a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan, and I'm damn sure not a Sirianni fan. But I have to give credit where credit's due. That when it came to that, Sirianni said it's not one play. It had nothing to do with it. While I agree with it, while I don't agree with it, it's a moot point. That didn't cost us the game. And the cornerback that the penalty got called on straight up said, "Yep, I grabbed him, and they should have called it." And whether he agrees with that or not, he publicly came out and said, "Yep, I grabbed him. Yeah. I grabbed him. He was going to burn me, and I decided to grab him by the jersey, and I have to live with that I did that." And so class act on that part of it, class act on Sirianni when he's standing on the sidelines and your quarterback has to tell you, hey, stop being a tool and making fun of the other team, to come back down here where the ball is on a challenge play.
I like all that stuff. I think
know.
I think Sirianni is I don't know. I like him. I think as a team, I think for the most part, they handled it all with class. Jalen Hurts and
Hurts. Hurts
the quarterback
came from Alabama
and the head coach and has handled all this with class. And they do a lot of things that, especially Sirianni, the fan base can't do. They will never admit, that penalty didn't cause that penalty. No fan base will come out. The Eagles fan base will come out and say, well, that penalty, most of them, didn't cost us the game. We had our chances because they don't look at it realistically. But kudos for them to come out and say, hey, there was a lot of opportunities. We just
and if it's the Dallas Cowboys or the Green Bay Packers and that call gets the deal, we're up in arms right now. We're screaming, going, that's not a penalty,
Jeff is here. He says, what's up, boys? We're just talking about the Super Bowl preview or Super Bowl recap afterthought here before we get into our questions and answers. Good to see you there, Jeff. Glad you're listening.
How's he like that defensive coordinator they're going to hire?
Is it Rex Ryan?
They're trying. They're bringing the old Rex guy out of retirement. I was like, I read that. I was like, Jeff's going to be pissed.
Rex Ryan, he hasn't coached in years, but defenses were good. I don't know. Vic Fangio did end up going
as he blows
Miami.
The dust off his defensive play calling sheet.
Yeah. Well, do you know Vic Fangio helped out the Eagles for 2 weeks before the Super Bowl?
I don't know how that's legal.
I was like, how is this legal?
I have no idea.
Obviously, it didn't work. And can we talk about the turf?
If I'm Miami, oh god,
my gosh! I've never seen any more people slip in this football game.
Did you see the pile of cleats on the Philadelphia sideline of that they were deal? And listen, I liked the Fox broadcasting all year. I did not like it in the Super Bowl. He was,
didn't like it.
Critical. Like he's sitting there, and here goes Kansas City to kick the game-winning field goal, and he's like, well, they're standing on that paint. Hope he doesn't slip. I was like, he what? He hope he doesn't slip. Like, he's like, I'm not trying to jinx anybody, but I hope he doesn't slip and break his ankle right here. That was, and supposedly Kansas City complained about that in week 1 when they played there. Like their kicker got hurt. He rolled his ankle and was out for time. They fell and they had a bunch of trouble in the season opener out there. And
I don't understand.
I don't.
Do you see the Eagles kicker kicked off the ball?
Well, I thought he broke his leg.
I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
He came down right on his ankle, like skidded across.
I was like, who's the backup kicker?
Man,
because
he just snapped his leg in half.
Elliott's done.
Oh, insane.
Yeah, Jeff, it was interesting.
We just talked about that. Not a right call. It was the right. I think it was the right call
in the first quarter, not the right call when the game's on the line and takes.
It has to be an egregious penalty to call right there.
Yeah,
and
like he has to physically take him to the ground.
Yeah, you want to see a face mask ripped in half? Okay, we got to call. We have to call that penalty, but it was a good Super Bowl, and unfortunately, it marks an end for the NFL football. We do have the USFL starting up in
8 weeks.
A couple weeks here.
Like that.
All right. Well, I'm very interested to get into this. Me and Craig came up with some questions right before the season started. We're going to do this. This is something we're going to do every year. Questions that we think the teams need to answer, and we're going to go through and answer these questions for each team. We're going to ask ourselves at the end of each team, did they have a successful season? And we'll go from there. So, do we want to start with the AFC or NFC, Craig?
Start with the NFC.
All right, we're going to start with the NFC. And I came up with the AFC questions. Craig came up with the NFC questions. That's how we broke it down. So, the 49ers, I'll start off with the first. I had to go listen to the podcast again. I just kind of went, whatever was said, I wrote it down and went from there. So we'll start with the 49ers. And the question that you came up with was, is Trey Lance the real deal? And we kind of all know how that played out. With that question, we have no clue what Trey Lance is. Obviously.
Yes and no. I mean, he did not look
impress.
well. He did not look well. He looked very overwhelmed.
He did not impress, yeah.
He did not look like he was ready for that role. Even though it was only 3 or 4 games, he did not look like he was ready for that role. And I don't believe that he will even have the opportunity for that role going forward. The only way I think he is considered is if the Mr. Irrelevant there is not ready with the UCL injury.
Yeah.
Because
we all know
Jimmy's
gone.
Jimmy's gone. Yeah, Jimmy's gone. I mean, Shanahan says I see no pathway for him to be here. Rumor
is the Raiders with Jimmy, but
yeah. But I mean, I thought you wanted to, I thought you wanted the guy that you went and started the last 2 weeks. So I don't know. Jimmy's not going to go be a backup. So if you promise him a starting role, then maybe, but we'll see.
49ers, obviously, to me, successful season.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to have 3 quarterbacks and go to Mr. Irrelevant, you thought at that point in time, we called it as the 49ers season's over. Here comes Seattle. We even thought the Rams might have an outside shot looking in. And the 49ers, they lose the first game, big and never look back.
Yep. To the head coaching job, phenomenal. To lose multiple quarterbacks, come in with Mr. Irrelevant, get the job done, win your division.
Go to the AFC or NFC Championship game.
Yeah, that's a successful season.
Yeah.
The question for the Rams we talked about, will Stafford's injury hold up? And obviously it didn't. This team fell apart.
That injury affected Stafford all year.
Oh, yeah.
He was right.
They had to go get Baker Mayfield, if that tells you anything. So that was a right on the money question mark as how that injury will hold up, and it didn't.
Very surprised. I'm very surprised that he's coming back. I really thought he would try to run off into the sunset and take his championship and take his Hall of Fame and go on about his day. To have him come back is a very big surprise.
I think Sean McVay's staying was a big reason. I don't think he comes back unless he knows what coach is there.
Yeah.
And my question is, with the whole Sean McVay thing, that to me was just a attention get.
Yep.
What? Like you sit here and you say, I might not come back to the Rams. I'm thinking about retiring.
And I'm wondering if it wasn't kind of on both their parts. Stafford wanted to see if McVay was coming back. McVay wanted to see if Stafford was coming back. And if neither one was going to come back, then the other one wasn't coming either. But since they both decided to come back, then the other decided to
the timing was just weird for McVay.
Absolutely.
It was 2 days late. He's like, I want to contemplate this and this. And 2 days later, he's like, I'm coming back. It's like, wait, what happened to – that seems like just a –
I think Stafford picked up the phone and said, are you really leaving? And he's like, well, I don't know. Are you really leaving? And he's like, well, no, I'm good. Oh, well, if you're good, then I'm good. And back in they were both at. As for a successful season, the answer would be that's a big negative. The Super Bowl,
absolute negative.
And you're terrible at football, and you don't even get the draft pick that you earned by being terrible at football. You give that away to the Lions. So
your franchise don't believe in drafting.
So terribly unsuccessful season for the Rams.
I had them winning the division, so terribly. Yeah. Seahawks.
I think I had the 49ers winning the division, but that was under the contemplex of Jimmy Garoppolo started all year.
Yeah. Seahawks. A question mark was, what are the expectations? and they blew that out of the water. I
Yeah,
mean,
the expectations were the number 1 draft pick.
yeah,
That was the expectation.
Yeah.
Was
um,
you're
you-
going to
you-
hate that you lost Russell Wilson. You're going to see what the coach is, and he's going to be terrible and probably get fired. And not only did he not do that, he almost won Coach of the Year because of it. He resurrects Geno Smith's career, who was
they're
terrible
probably
at
signed back
football.
there.
Oh, I would.
Honestly, why you wouldn't?
Yeah.
The expectations was nothing, and you got 9-8.
And a playoff berth.
Yeah, you got the playoffs, and I went on an apology tour halfway through the season.
Yeah.
And Pete Carroll was my number 1 person I apologize to, because I threw him under the bus, and I was completely wrong. And maybe getting rid of Russell Wilson was the best thing to happen for Seattle.
Well, he
And the
might
best thing to happen for him
know that Russell Wilson is done and over. He obviously saw something. We'll see if Russell's able to recover this year under Sean Payton. If he's not, then old Pete Carroll looks like a genius.
And there's already rumors. There's already stories about Sean Payton telling Russell Wilson, basically, you're not having all these coaches. You're not having your separate room. You're not doing this. That's not how we're going to do it. So maybe that's what he needs.
He kind of played dumb. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't never heard of that before.
I've never heard of that, but I mean, I have coaches that'll take care of that. I don't think we need Russ's coach, they kind of blindsided him on that. But at the end of the day, it'll be the ego check. Sean Payton does not put up with that.
All right, the next team we have, excuse me, yawning. It got me over here yawning. The Cardinals. The question was, how much does the suspension of Hopkins hurt this team? And
a lot.
It did hurt him a lot. I think their quarterback hurt the team a lot, and the morale or the head coach.
It cost the head coach's job.
Dumpster fire there.
Yeah.
There's no other way to say it. And in the off season, you fire your coach that you just extended 10 months ago. You can't. They found a head coach today, but there was rumors that no one wants to be the head coach because they don't want to work with this spoiled quarterback, and that's exactly what.
Well, not only not work with him, but work with his money. Like they don't have money to go spend elsewhere because it's all tied up in Kyler.
So the Cardinals' season's been an absolute dumpster fire, failure of a season.
Yeah.
We talked about this team last year. They started off hot. We thought they were frauds. They proved us right. And we knew there would be turmoil, and we talked about the head coach there getting fired during the season. Where this guy is going to be fired, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Which is strange to me when you just literally gave him an extension, and you did that. You did that off the 7 start. They won 8, 9 in a row last year.
7 or 8 in a row, yeah.
Let's give this guy an extension. And then I guarantee you, your quarterback went there and said, I'm not working with him. So it's either him or me. And they obviously are going to take the quarterback. Except Seattle took the head coach and it worked out there. Maybe this will work out. Well, they didn't take the head coach, but we'll see. We'll see if a head coach comes in here and turning things around. But the Cardinals, absolute failure of a season. The Vikings. The Vikings you came up with, is this the year they put it together and jump Green Bay and win the division? And it was the year. It was the year. No one saw Green Bay falling off like it did. The Vikings they're the team I know on paper is talented. Every single year you look at it and go, man, they got this guy. They got that guy. They got a decent quarterback. They play good defense.
Have the best wide receiver in the game.
Yeah. Except this year, the defense was garbage. But they put it together. They answered your question, Craig. They won the division. They just failed in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of what they do. So was it a successful season? I'm going to say yes, because they won the division for the first time in a long time. They did beat Green Bay. Greg Jennings went there after he played for Green Bay, and they focused on so much of beating Green Bay. That was their focus. And he's like, shouldn't our focus be getting to the Super Bowl? What? So I'm going to say it's a successful season for them. But they probably feel like it's a little bit of a disappointment after what the season they had. That's a very interesting one, though. Craig, I mean, what do you think about Minnesota? Y'all stomped them like 49-0.
I mean, it seemed to be a tale of two teams. It seemed to be earlier in the year they were unbeatable and deal, and then come the end of the season, the Cowboys rolled them, and then after the Cowboys rolled them, they lost. They were down. What, 49 or 52 points to Indianapolis, and came back and pulled that game
33-0 and came back on.
So I mean, it could have been a disaster of a season, but they were able to salvage a couple of those that they shouldn't have won. But in the playoffs, they just seemed overmatched. So yes, it's successful in the success. That they won the division and they won 10 games, and Cousins played really well. The question is now, what do you do with him? Do you re-sign him, or is he a free agent? If he's a free agent, who do you get to come in as the quarterback on the Minnesota Vikings? But overall, by winning the division and getting a home game, then I think the season was a success, because by taking over Green Bay, who's just run that division for years.
Yeah.
You just basically thought Green Bay just had to, as long as Aaron Rodgers did not go down, which he didn't, then you think Green Bay is a shoo-in to win that division, and they didn't. So just in that aspect, I think they are successful.
I agree with you. The Lions, and the question you came up with, can they put it together? And I think they did a pretty good job of that.
Didn't start well.
They did not start well.
If they could have done a little bit better in the front half of the season, then they don't have to beat Green Bay and need some help to get in, and they did not get in the playoffs. That would have been the
put it together part.
Yeah, I think they put it together, but I just, it would have been like, this is the season, this is the guy, all in on the Dan Campbell show. You took a team that was from one win all the way to the playoffs, and unfortunately, they fell, a half a game or a game short because of a head-to-head loss to the Seattle Seahawks, which they had a huge lead and blew. And so we'll see how successful Campbell. He seems to have the ear of that team. He seems to be able to get these guys motivated and want to play. They did lose their running backs coach today. See how much that hurts them.
They seem to they work well with Goff. Goff's worked really well there.
Yeah, and that's another thing
in Detroit.
Do you extend him, or do you draft somebody, or you've got the pick in with the Rams.
I think you do both. I think you extend him and you get the rookie to go behind him. I don't see why not. I think that's a good way to go. But yeah, I mean, they were, if they started better, if they closed out that Seattle game, they're talking about a playoff berth.
Yeah.
They beat Green Bay. They were second in our division. And you were right on the money. I have to point this out. I marked this in red here because I went back, listened to the show for this, and you said they would win 9 games, and you were on the money. They were 9-8. So kudos there on calling that. And the Lions are going to be, if they can put it together for a full season, they're going to be a team to be, so that we can't just laugh at anymore.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And
that division just became kind of tough. If Minnesota re-signs Cousins and everything goes well in Detroit, that division is not a one-team race anymore.
Right. And we have no clue what Green Bay is going to be because our quarterback's
he's in a dark house. He's in a dark house right now trying to figure out life.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on that. The Packers are next. The question was, how much does Adams' loss hurt?
A lot.
And it hurt more than I would have thought. I didn't think it was going to hurt that bad. It hurt.
Kind of like
And
the Lions, it hurt the first half of the season. Your
Yeah.
rookie decided to show up the last
The
half
Cowboy
of the
game,
season, and
3
from the
touchdowns.
Cowboy game forward, had multiple touchdowns every game, and tried to resurrect it, and almost got them into the playoffs, until you lose the last day of the season to the Lions. But when you have Aaron Rodgers coming off back-to-back MVPs, and you haven't lost this division in 100 years, and you don't make the playoffs, then I think the season is unsuccessful.
Oh, definitely unsuccessful. No one saw this. People could have said it would hurt. I'm going to drop it down a little bit. No one saw this type of cliff dive that the Packers took.
Complete implosion.
Defense took a step back. I thought we needed to fire a defensive coordinator. Matt LaFleur is bringing him back, which sucks. We just never clicked all together. Something missed on the offensive side. We lost our best pass rusher. It's just a crappy season for us, and one that us Packer fans want to look back on, and or actually don't want to look back on. We're just going to want to forget it and move on. But successful season, no. Lions, we didn't answer that question. I think Lions had a successful season.
Oh, absolutely.
Bears, your question was, what week did the coach get fired? And I didn't get fired, but they terrible team.
Yeah,
absolutely terrible. And they've got a big decision to make, whether they believe in Justin Fields or they take a quarterback. And I believe you take a quarterback because Justin Fields is not the guy. I hope they keep on to him, but he's not the guy. And if you take away his rushing, he was literally the worst passing quarterback in the NFL this season.
Yeah.
I hope they hold on to him and they put all their faith in him, because it's not going to work out. But I don't even know who the coach is irrelevant. The Bears team is irrelevant. Their defense is no longer feared.
Yeah.
Successful season by far none.
No,
not a success.
Not even a little bit.
Interesting one here. We got the Giants, and it is, where do the Giants go at the quarterback position? Did Daniel Jones this season do enough for them to go, hey, we need to sign this guy back or not? I think it's a question really that they're asking themselves. So this is a good question going into the season. Do you think Daniel Jones answered that question for you, or do you think there's still those question marks?
I think the Giants are wishing they would have picked up the 5th-year option and had one more year to look at it. That's what I think, because the money that Daniel Jones is going to ask for, I don't believe he's worth. And
there's too much unknown.
100%. While he did have a better season this year, he didn't have a season to where he should earn $30 million, and that's what you're going to have to pay him. So, and they're talking about multi-year deals for him and Saquon, and so you're going to lose. I mean, you're going to take a huge chunk of money off the top right away by signing those two guys. So,
and you got a lot more holes to fill.
100%.
A lot more holes.
100%.
And
you got wide receivers. You had to trade Kadarius Toney.
For some reason, I don't know why he couldn't work out there.
You've got the guy that you brought in from Detroit who they just won't throw the ball to.
I think they're going to release him. I mean, he has done nothing.
I mean, he didn't even I don't even know if he showed up for a game this year. I think he might have made 1 or 2 catches all year, and so
you got to add some more pieces to that defense. You just added a great rookie, Thibodeau. You need someone on the other side. There's a lot of holes to fix. And
when you lose a quarter or half your salary cap in 2 players, which I mean, if you just pay them the franchise, average, it's going to be $30 million for the running back or $20 million for the running back and $30 for the quarterback. You're looking at $50 of the $97 million payroll in 2 guys. And so I think that while the Giants' successful season this year was successful, I believe next year could be a real big problem if they have to go and pony out all that money for
Well, I like
getting a lot of production.
The Giants' season was a success. We
Yeah.
thought the team was
Yeah, he
absolute
made the
trash.
playoffs, coach
And
of
they
the
go,
year.
they go and they make the playoffs. They're competitive in the NFC East.
You go to Minnesota and you win a playoff game. I mean,
you get coach of the year. Brian Daboll did a fantastic job. It's just without that extra year of knowing what Daniel Jones is, you took Daniel Jones from a laughing stock of NFL, not knowing if he could play quarterback, to an average. His numbers were average quarterback play. He did run a little more than we expected. I didn't know he could run like that.
Well, he had that one big
that's
long run where he fell down over a
Yeah.
sprinkler head or whatever.
That's a little different aspect to it, but I just think if the Giants were to put all their money into those two guys, it's a big failure. They've got to let Saquon Barkley go. The way B this health, there's just too many questions to tie yourself as a head coach there.
Well, when
to
you
these
need
guys.
other positions, you have to let
Yeah.
Saquon go and pay the less, which of course I want the running back, so I hope they don't do that. But
running
we'll
backs are easily replaceable. Am I going to sit here and tell you that Saquon Barkley is super easy to replace when healthy? No, but it's running back by committee. You can get a guy in the 3rd or 4th round every single year, 5th round, that could come in and surprise you. And a lot of the times, running back all depends on your offensive line. So
yeah, 100.
You don't pay running backs. There's no reason to give Zeke the amount of money the Cowboys did. They regret that decision. There's no reason to go out and overpay for running backs. Aaron Jones,
running backs is just not going to be one of the positions that you see a 2nd and 3rd contract.
Yeah.
You're gonna sign them to their 4 or 5 year deal in whatever round they choose, and then they're gonna be released and move on to the pasture of success when they don't.
Even in Green Bay, Aaron Jones, fantastic player. He catches the ball in the backfield. He does a lot of things for us. I wasn't too happy when we signed him to a big huge contract because of that. But
yeah, because you could just get the same kind of productivity out of a guy making $700,000 rather than $7 million.
Yep, you're exactly right. Giants, very successful season. Commanders. Your question mark was, can Carson Wentz resurrect his career? And then the answer is no. Commanders.
Big thumbs down.
Commanders had a better season than I think most expected.
Yeah, Taylor Heineke resurrects, blows life into the season, and then Ron Rivera's like, I'm
going to throw some water on that fire. And it costs us our season.
Whoa, we're being too successful, Taylor. Calm it down.
Successful season for the Commanders or not?
From what you expected them to be, yeah. You expected them to be about 3-13. And they are 8-8. And if my coach knows how to read a graph on whether he can make the playoffs or not, they might make the playoffs. But he doesn't know. He thought he was eliminated a week before and lays an egg. And then they tell him after the game, if you'd have won that, you'd have still been eligible. And he'd been like, what? I thought we were already eliminated.
I'm surprised he wasn't fired for that.
And
straight up.
That shows you what the ownership and why in March that they will not be under the Dan Snyder umbrella anymore, probably.
And when they first hired Ron Rivera, I gave him credit. I said, this is a move that's going to get them.
He goes in there and takes all the ping pong and pool tables out and takes the snack machines out and, drives the hard bargain and
respectable move from them. But it turns
just
out this guy maybe,
ownership rules the roost.
Maybe he said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get fired. And then they get fired. He's like, what do I got to do to get out of here?
Yeah. You thought you were going to get fired. You're stuck in this.
You're stuck.
You're stuck here. Yeah.
All right. The Eagles. Is Hurts good enough to take them where they want to go? And he definitely answered that question this year. I think more than anybody. Huh?
Did he?
Yeah. When they got to the Super Bowl, you're gonna tell me that Hurts didn't prove that he's a good enough quarterback? What do you? No. Greg.
I have one example.
What's your one example?
Lamar Jackson won an MVP and looked like he was good enough.
But did he go to the Super Bowl?
Oh, he won the MVP and went into the
I'm not
playoffs.
talking about MVP.
Did you really beat anybody in the playoffs? You beat a
That
49ers
doesn't matter.
team with the running back as a quarterback.
Oh, we're about to have an argument here, Craig. My brain's
You
about
can
to
have
go
an argument
crazy.
all you want to. You beat a
It
running back.
It does not matter. The Eagles. Oh, I can't stand this argument. The Eagles don't make their schedule.
I hope they pay him.
They went 14-3.
I hope they pay him.
They fought. Y'all call me crazy when I said Hurts should play last game. That's why you fight for the number 1 seed. You get the easier playoff victories or the easier playoff teams. They got the number 1 seed. That's the path. They took out the quarterback for the 49ers. That's not what they wanted to do. It happened. So they earned their spot. And you can't sit here and tell me that we talked about it all year. Hurts made the biggest jump all season long. He gets him to the Super Bowl, and people
do it one more season.
People act like because they lost by 3 to the Patrick Mahomes that they suck. No,
I didn't say that. I'm just saying that he has to do it for more than one season to be.
No, I get it. No, you want to do
to annoy him,
but he just proved he could get where he needs to go.
He didn't though, because the year before he couldn't hit the water if he thought of the boat.
But he just he.
I mean, Lamar has one good season, and then he went back to what he was.
He never won the Super Bowl. That's my thing here.
I'm just saying, you win an MVP, you go back to what you were.
The question, going back to the question, is Hurts good enough to take them where they want to go? They want to go to the Super Bowl, and he just got them there. He just made this big leap.
I understand that, but it's a 1-year deal. Like next year, if they win 7 games because they have a first-place schedule, and he has to play tougher competition, then he's not good enough to get them where they want to go. You got to do it for more than Patrick Mahomes.
So you're telling me next year, if they don't go to the Super Bowl, then the year.
I didn't say if they don't go to the Super Bowl, but if he doesn't make the playoffs, now I have an argument.
You do, I don't see them. I want to see it.
Well, I'm just saying.
I get
Matthew Stafford not making the playoffs either, and it happens.
I get the. Yeah,
I'm concerned with
because of an injury,
and I
get to want to see him do it more.
And I'm concerned with his
that shoulder will heal. That's not a.
I understand that, but is he that injury-prone guy? Is he going to fall on a shoulder? Is he going to pull a hamstring? Is he going to miss time because of the way he plays football? Those guys, to me, are not guys you want to build a team around, because just like Lamar, I'm going to run, I'm going to deal with it, and they're injury-prone, and they're hurt, and they can't throw the ball, and they're not accurate. If he goes out and does it again and puts up a season like this again, sign me up. Let's go. But I hope they do what I think they're going to do, and they sign him to a huge deal and torpedo the whole franchise by spending $40 million a year on the quarterback, because I don't know if he's the guy.
Look, I'm fine with you telling me that you don't know if Hurts is a guy, but I'm not. I cannot take the stupid Mickey Mouse schedule, and I saw this thing that popped up and said they gave every excuse for why the Eagles won, and they barely beat the Lions, and then I'm like, get out of here, guys. Y'all can pinpoint that of every team.
No, he had a season in which
they got
could have been the MVP if he doesn't hurt. If he doesn't get hurt,
they got the first round spot. They got the playoff teams they faced because of the first round spot. They forced the quarterbacks out of the game. They earned their spot.
But he also could come out next year and
he could. I don't see it
not
happening.
Be good.
I don't see it happening. I don't. I'm just saying I'm not going to go that Mickey Mouse schedule crap, and I think Hurts is good enough. And I'm not usually the guy, because I think Lamar is just a running back. I'm not usually the guy to sit here and tell you that I'm with a running quarterback.
But what I'm saying is they're going to have a tougher schedule next year.
They will.
They're going
to.
They will.
And they just lost their defensive coordinator and offensive
coordinator. And is that the reason he was successful? Was it the scheming of the coordinator, or was it his talent? I don't know. I don't know.
Head coach. I think he called coach the plays there. But
I mean they set up an offensive scheme, so you got to find somebody that is similar now.
Obviously, successful season.
No, yeah.
It's not obvious. The Cowboys are next. How bad will the injuries hurt Dallas? I'll let you take this one.
I mean, they didn't, to be honest. I mean, you lose Tyron Smith. You thought that was going to be an absolute deal breaker.
Yeah, you thought you were going to lose 3. They were talking about the fan is losing 3 games because of that. I'm like,
yeah, and you put the rookie in, and not only you say does this guy can this guy hold it down until Tyron gets back? He not only held it down until Tyron got back, he forces Tyron to play another position when he comes back because he held it down so well. This kid made the Pro Bowl and was according to the NFL executives or whatever, the best rookie lineman in football. So he in college he had holding penalty problems. He didn't really have a lot of those. You lose your quarterback in game 1, and you think that's an absolute death sentence, and your backup quarterback comes in and guides the ship. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say that he lit the world on fire, but he did enough to win 5 football games.
Yeah, he'll be your backup quarterback for the next 5 years.
He will now. He will now. There will not be the going into training camp and cutting Cooper Rush and cutting everybody to make roster spots, because if you cut Cooper Rush this year, he won't be on your practice squad. And so you answered the injury bell for the first time ever. Because normally this football team, when they have injuries, especially ones of this caliber, your offensive lineman, your left tackle, your quarterback, it's the last time Dak Prescott went down, they went 4-12. You answered the bell for the first time ever. You hope that you don't have to do this every year. You hope you don't lose guys in training camp. You hope you don't lose, your middle linebacker when you're going down the home stretch of games. Of course, you didn't know what he was going to be, and Leighton Vander Esch, plays the season of a lifetime and is probably going to end up having to get re-signed to make a bunch of money. So yeah, you answered the injury questions 1,000%. And because of that, you had an extremely successful season. Maybe you didn't get out of the first round of playoffs, but you lost a quarterback and you lost a starting offensive lineman, and you still won 12 football games. So to me, you answered the questions with flying colors.
Sorry, Mike was muted. So that's the biggest question, because I think there's a lot of Cowboy fans that say, "Hey, this wasn't successful of a season because of the unreasonable expectations that the Cowboys fans, and that's why they're so annoying at times, set for themselves." And because you 0-7 in the last 7 divisional games.
Apparently, that's why I don't have friends anymore.
This was a successful season with Dallas Cowboy fans, and if it wasn't, then you're part of the problem. If it's Super Bowl or busts every year, you're part of the problem.
Yeah,
that's just absolutely
there's one team that can do that every year, and you're probably not going to be it. Yeah, well, I mean, you don't have even him. He's only got 2. He's been to 5 AFC championships, and he has 2 trophies. So
this is a successful season. You think a lot of people forget that Dak Prescott was hurt this year. Yeah. Successful season, yes. McCarthy in the hot seat next season. I'd be interested to watch. Yeah. Tampa Bay. All right. Tampa Bay. The question was, does Father Time finally win? They were 8-9. They won the division. Father Time looks like they won. I mean, they didn't make the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs. And Cowboys handled business there.
They made the playoffs because that division was garbage.
Absolute trash.
Hot garbage. We said to start the season that Tom Brady could have ropes tied around his ankles and win this division with his eyes closed, and he almost did not.
Yeah, that's how close it was. They went in. They were a bad football team. They won the division. Lucky for them.
But yeah, Father Time won because Tom retires on the beach 2 weeks later and says, I can't do it anymore. And that's it. That there's not going to be a third retirement. Tom Brady's career ended on the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep. Successful season? No.
No.
Not a successful season.
I mean, I guess you won the division, but you backed into that,
Yeah.
and he just didn't look like himself this year. He looked like he looked like he should have stayed, whether that was the offensive coordinator, whether that was the head coach, whether that was the slew of offensive line injuries you had to start in training camp, whether it was your divorce. The bottom line is he looked like he wasn't able to play football anymore.
Yep. The Panthers, does the move at quarterback position save the head coach? And it's obviously not, because they fire him midway through the season.
He does not even make the season. And then the interim guy comes in and saves that, and it doesn't even save his job.
Yeah, it doesn't even save his job. And that always gets me. I don't know why. If my team comes to me and says, hey, this is the guy, this is the guy, this is the guy, we believe in him. Like we talked about, that's an easy out. You as an owner, you say, okay, we'll give this guy a 2-year, 3-year deal. If it doesn't work out, you can fire him and say, now we're going to go with my guy. It gives you more time.
Totally
Interesting.
agree.
I mean, go ahead.
And especially with the lack of African American head coaches in the league, and the rule of the Rooney Rule of interviewing them, and you don't even give this guy a second thought. Like you just, I mean, I think he was blown away. I think he was putting his stuff in the office and setting it up and getting everything ready, and they came in and went, "What are you doing?
Yeah,
you're gone.
Get the white box out." And,
and
pack that bad boy up.
he was, he was literally shocked. I believe. I think the team was shocked. It was a very, very shocking move that
they
he
did
doesn't.
the same thing in Oakland.
Yeah.
Rick, I forget his last name.
Versace.
Yeah.
Versace.
They said, hey, this guy, we love him. He's great. We'll run through a wall for him. They were like, that's not going to work out. So
yeah.
I just find it interesting. You got the Falcons. So obviously Panthers, unsuccessful season. Not even a question. We got the Falcons. Where do they go from here is the biggest question mark. And I think we're still trying to figure out where they go from here. I surprisingly thought they fought hard this year. There were some games that go, okay, Panthers a bit of a fight.
Well, your quarterback has a great start to the season. Looks like he's going to resurrect his career. And then all of a sudden, he just quits on the franchise and says, I'm injured. And the head coach goes, no, he's fine. And then they go, hey, come on. And he's like, I'm not playing. I'm hurt. And the head coach has to go back and go, yeah, he really does have an injury, and he's not going to play the rest of the year. And I don't know what happened with that. I don't know if there was a disconnect
talking about Baltimore
between
or the Falcons.
No,
I know it sounds like the same script.
Yeah, it does. It exactly because the head coach was saying my guy is okay, and Mariota walks out of camp and never returned. So I think Mariota is out of a job, and I think the Falcons are back to square one. And
I agree.
Complete dumpster fire of a season.
Yeah, dumpster fire. They don't know where they're going. What's their direction? It doesn't seem like this is also the same team.
They're further from the answer to that question now than they were last season.
Yeah, I totally feel you. If you're a Falcon fan, you probably feel lost. And this is a team that held on to their players too long, trying to win the Super Bowl with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, and they should have won. And they didn't know when to say goodbye, and now you're kind of left in limbo. It's a bad spot to be, and they don't know when they're going to turn around. They're losing one of their best wide receivers to Cleveland. Is it Cleveland? Where's he going? He's not going to Cleveland. Yeah, where's he going? Jacksonville. Yeah, that's going to be a good next year for him.
Yeah,
as long as I stops betting on games. But so Falcons definitely a bad season. Saints, and the question mark, it's the last NFC team here, is getting back the weapons on offense enough to make the playoffs? And that answer is obviously no. And I think you got a lot of questions. Do you hold on to Kamara? Who's our quarterback? And do we want to work through Thomas? Is he?
I think the
think
answer is
he's
no.
gone.
I think Michael Thomas has played his last game in New Orleans.
They've had question marks there before with him.
There has been rumors of him coming to Dallas, and as a Cowboy fan, I pray every day that does not happen. The guy has no work ethic. Now maybe the change of scenery does like he did for McCaffrey. McCaffrey had all these tissue injuries. He goes to San Francisco and they all just go away. He plays through everything. Guys over there massaging his calf on the sideline, and he's out here playing. So maybe it's just the same change of scenery that gets you back into wanting to play football again. But I don't believe Michael Thomas is there. Kamara, he's the same way as Zeke. You paid him a bunch of money, and now he's lost what appears to be the step and the drive, and your quarterback missed a bunch of time with injuries. You don't know if Jameis he didn't play long enough to answer the question on whether or not he was going to be what you wanted. So now you don't know if you have a quarterback. Your running back is over the hill, and your wide receiver doesn't want to play for you.
You still have a Taysom Hill. Is he a wide receiver? Is he a quarterback? Is he a running back?
You're trying to pay him. You're trying to pay him as a quarterback. Yeah.
I think his team is just like the Falcons. You
100%.
don't really know.
I was just going to say the same thing.
You're lost. You're hoping
worse
that
off
Sean,
now.
You were hoping that Sean Payton came back and kind of made it right again. You do get those picks from Denver because they were dumb enough to give you a first-round pick for a coach. Just not good. That whole division 7-10, except Tampa Bay. So that whole division's got a lot of work to do. We called out the Panthers, we called out the Falcons, we called out the Saints, and Tampa Bay without Tom Brady. You really don't know what you have there, where they're going to go and make those decisions. The whole division looks right now to be one of the
worst in football.
The worst in football, and it's very interesting. But what we're going to do, guys, since that was basically an hour just talking about these answers and questions, we're going to split it up. We're going to do the AFC next Tuesday, probably. We just did the NFC answers and questions. So next Tuesday, we will come back and hit you with the AFC questions, the questions that I came up with for the AFC. And we'll give you the same questions of, was this a successful season? And then Friday, we're going to have us three on the show. Hopefully, Jeff will be back Friday, and we'll get to talking headlines of the week. Now, you might see some program changing now that football's over. A lot of information stuff flowing in, and so we might go down to just a Friday episode with some more shorts here and there. Me and Craig will hit any breaking news in between, and we'll get all the headlines of the week on the Friday edition. And we're looking forward to get diving more into basketball. Baseball starts up in March, and so we're going to have those two sports to talk about. Obviously, hockey as well. And so we're looking forward to the next stage. You got the USFL. If anybody's going to watch that, is the XFL coming back next year, Craig? I think next year.
I believe so.
Because I've seen no advertisement for that whatsoever. But it's always a sad time of year when football's ending. I hate it. It's the best sport, in my opinion, my favorite sport.
Not for me, because it's baseball time.
Yeah, it's baseball time. And look, I'm really excited for the Rangers this year. See what the pitching staff's going to do. See the direction that we're going to go into. So baseball time is exciting. We got the Stars that look really well. We're trying to figure out, and the Dallas Mavericks trying to figure out how Kyrie and Luka are working together. So it's still a fantastic time for sports.
It was an expensive game of hot potato last night.
Most expensive game of hot potato you'll ever see.
Yeah.
They got some things they got to work out. But it should be an interesting ride. Has Kevin Durant played his first game with Phoenix yet?
I haven't seen. I think he was still recovering from that injury.
I thought he was still hurt. We'll see it down the stretch how these trades work out in each team's favor.
The 4-team trade finally did go through with the Gary Payton thing.
There was questions on his physical, right?
Yeah, he failed, but Golden State somehow got the opinion that they wanted and said that they're going to reevaluate him in a month, which allowed the NBA to say, okay, if you guys are okay with keeping your guy, then we'll let these other 3 teams keep their guy. So that could have been a disaster when 4 teams are involved, that you don't get to keep your guy because he somehow traded a guy that was hurt. So
yeah. Well, that was a good podcast there, Craig. Good episode. We have an episode for you on Friday. We appreciate any time or you guys taking times out of your day to watch our stream. If you're not watching us and you're listening to us on the podcast platform, we appreciate you as well. Thank you, Kat and Jeff, for jumping on and talking to us. If you want to live communicate with us during the show, jump on YouTube on the Outspoken Network and find our live stream, and you can be able to comment during our show. We're pretty interactive with our fans as long as it's family friendly on the show. And feel free to share, click, like, send us around if you like sports. You can email us at outspokensportscast@gmail.com if you have any questions, anything you want us to answer, and you can find us on all social media platforms. Had to get that spew out of the way, guys. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. It is Tuesday. It feels like a Thursday. I don't know why.
It sure does.
It's been a long week already. We're supposed to get rain here in Texas. It rained and wind came through like crazy today. More rain tomorrow. So fun stuff. And then we dropped from 70 to a high of 39 on Thursday. So fantastic. All right, guys. Well, continue to keep on doing what you're doing. God bless, and remember,
keep it outspoken.